Joyous Rising family, this is Dr. Kia Pruitt. It is January 24th, 2022, my daddy's heavenly birthday. Happy birthday, Daddy. So I'm coming back, had to try to do this video over again. I'm just leaving the Center for Wellness, if you know what I mean, the one that starts with an H, because I'm not allowed apparently to say that word. And I just wanted to give you a wonderful update and a report that my loved one is doing well. So I now understand why he was put on that machine to help him breathe. He was sick. He had some underlying medical conditions that he's had for a while. So when he became ill with the latest illness that's out, they followed protocol to put him on a specific machine that you all know about, because I have him full code. So, you know, no matter what happens, I want him brought back to life. So that's the protocol. According to them, they didn't have time to call me. Even though, you know, I was there, you know, they could have called me and let me know, but it's okay. He was only breathing at, I think 38% when he came in for some underlying issues that he had, plus that new illness that's out on top of it. So his immune system and his body, oh God, I hope you could say that word, was compromised. So they did what they did. And then we made a decision, you know, to remove him and see how he would do. And all praises be to God. We recommended some other form of oxygen, and they complied, and he's doing well. He's breathing. He's not fully awake, although he's okay. You know, he's not, nothing's going on, I guess, fatal with the brain, but he's not fully awake. But they've been wonderful with following our protocol, listening to us. The staff has been amazing. And what they said is, one of the nurses said, had you not been here to inquire, to assert yourself, to let us know what you recommend, and your family not been here and been, you know, pretty aggressive about the protocol, making sure everything was followed, what would have happened is they would have just followed, you know, recommendations that they were given. So family, it's important for us to be very active in our family members' lives. Like, no matter what institution they're involved in, please be active. Another thing this professional told me was that CEOs of these institutions that start with an H that you go to for wellness, can't say the word, the CEOs, at least the one here locally, make $72,000 a day, he said. And he was pretty livid. He said $72,000 per day. That's such and such amount per hour. And there's such and such amount per minute. And this amount per second. He was not feeling it. He said, but then they pay us pennies, and we're on the front lines making sure, that people are well, and we are putting ourselves in a line of fire, I guess. And so he said, and then they give us very few resources, no money for resources to do the job we need to do. So that's something to consider. CEOs are making that kind of money. And he said, if a governor or even the federal government tries to come against these major institutions and their CEOs, then they could be sued royally. He said, because here at least Big Sugar is behind these institutions that start with an H, where you put your loved ones who need to be cared for wellness issues. So he said Big Sugar is behind them. And I was like, Big Sugar corporations? Oh my God. And he said they have billions of dollars. So that's a lot for a governor to come against. And even the federal government, he said, because the Big Sugar has big money, and so they're behind these institutions. And that made me think, it makes sense now. We've been saying for years that there was a list, what would they call, forced resignation list or something like that. And there was a list of where people would go to the clink clink. The words, where they put your hands behind your back and put something on your hands. CEOs of BANKSs and the H word, they were going through that and going to GITMO for facing judgment. And now I understand why, because those people allegedly are related to certain bloodlines. So you can't just apply to be a CEO. That's why you and me, we can work our fingers to the bone, but if you don't have a certain bloodline, you're not a part of that group. There is a brotherhood, there is a sisterhood, and you and I were not invited to the party. But that's okay, because things are happening behind the scenes. In fact, our leader, can't say the word that starts with a G, Overnor, here in the state that looks like a boot, because you know, if I even say the state, like all my videos now are being watched. He just created certain what's the G? I-S-L-A, is it T-I-O-N? Certain, or L-A, what it was, W-W-S. And he just made this announcement that he was going to create certain rules, I'll say it like that, that will allow loved ones to see their family members that's in these wellness institutes during this, I don't know, this global, I don't even know, you can't even say the word that starts with a P, but during this sickness. So he's creating ways for us to be able to go in there, and I praise God for that, because when I first got here, I mean, they wouldn't let me, you know, touch him or anything. I couldn't go in the back. But some of the staff allowed me to go in the back, and even today I was allowed to at least peek in the room and try to wake him up and see, he could hear my voice. So family, it's so important to be involved in your family's wellness. Now the narratives are breaking up, so that's just one thing that the leader of this place, this state that looks like a boot or like a gun if you position it in a certain way, has done for us. But also, you know, Britain, they're loosening up their laws, so you no longer have to have that book, you know, the book that you used to have to travel international, that one that start with a P. I don't even know how to do the P. A-S-S, what's the P-O-R-T, that book that you used to have to travel internationally. Well, now they said in Britain that you had to have one to prove that you had the cure. No, in order to go into restaurants, in order to travel, etc., etc. They just reversed that, so you no longer need that. You no longer have to wear a diaper or a covering over your dome. You no longer have to do that. So things are reversing. And what else? Oh, maybe I should do it with this one. The has stated now that they just did away with the EUA of the evaluation that they did see to determine whether or not you are sick. Remember that test that they use, or that evaluation to see if you are sick? So that group, this particular, withdrew it. So as of December 31st, you can no longer use that. In many cases. So I did ask a professional, what does that mean? They withdrew usage of that particular evaluation to see if you had this sickness. And he said what that actually means is, before, these institutions of wellness were liable if they would give that test or that examination to see if you were sick. I forgot P. I think it's, you know, it looks kind of like, what is that letter? The P. No, the P. So before this new ruling, institutions could give it, but they could be held liable, and corporations could be held liable. But now institutions and corporations are not liable. The medical professional, I hope I don't get flagged for saying that, can now be liable. So their insurance could be liable if they use these type of evaluations or metrics to see if you're sick. So it's just crazy. The laws and rules keep changing. You know, you were supposed to, if you were ill, you had to be set apart from everybody for 21 days, then 20. Now it's 10 days, and now they're even lessening it up now. So I just wanted to come here and tell you that everything is working in our favor. You know, I'm so excited my loved one is getting better, and God is good. Goddess is good. The ancestors are good. They're looking out for our best interests. So just know that things are turning around for our favor. We need to be very active. Now I'm going to go to a school because, most of the family works. So I have a grandchild in the school. And so I'm going to have a meeting with the curriculum instructor to see, what the curriculum is like, because I would like to include other things in the curriculum. And so when I called up there, they said, "Oh, you're definitely a former educator." I said, "Absolutely." And I'm just really blessed that they understand me, or understand or overstand the type of person that I am. I'm going to be involved. I encourage you, family, if you feel you have to have your family members in certain institutions, then be involved. Because the first thing I said is, I see that the person that's over curriculum and instruction is this person here. I need to make an appointment so I can talk to her about the curriculum, and also, see about possibly adding this particular curriculum, and seeing how I can support you when my child is at home, or my grandchild is at home. So, I try to work as a team. And I've done it all my life with my children in every institution, whether they were in primary, secondary, post-secondary, even at the college level. I knew the deans, the professors, the curriculum instructors, the person over the professor, the supervisors, the vice deans, the provost, the associate vice president, and the president. So, for example, when I saw my students not doing, my children, even though they were adults, not doing as well as I wanted them to do, which is to excel, I went to the teachers and to the faculty development personnel, to the deans, and I said, "This is the issue that I see. I'd like to have this rectified." And see, I'm a higher education professional too, and they would tell you, don't deal with parents who are like me. They call us helicopter parents. They try to make you feel badly. They try to tell the parents to stay out of their business. There's such thing as privacy, blah, blah, blah. I don't play those games. Ain't no privacy. If you my child, you came from this womb, no, you don't have privacy. You can be adult all day long, but I'm going to be a part of your life, including your education and your higher education. So I had, these that said they never had a woman or a mother or a parent that was that involved, but I was very involved, and I resolved any issue or potential issue before it even arose, or even when it did arise. I was at those meetings. I called for conferences, and I sat there, and I sat my sons and daughters right beside me, and I said, "Yes, they have permission to speak, for me to speak to you. They're here, right here." And I say, "Y'all say what you want to say." And they would say, "Yeah, my mom has permission to say what she needs to say." And, and I'm very grateful for that. So be involved in your children's lives. Don't let these institutions tell you how much you can be involved. You are sovereign. We are sovereign. These people work for you. They work for us. So the only other option is to create our own, okay? And we do have that option. So for instance, my family created a school so that our children can receive the curriculum that we desired when they were younger. And they attended from elementary all the way up through high school. Now there were periods maybe like if the school was going through some changes, or we needed to work to make a little more money, we would send them to public school. But we were all involved. We were there volunteering. We were supporting the teachers. I knew the janitors, the teachers, the assistant teachers, the curriculum instructors, the vice principal, the principals. I was on email. I had phone calls. I was at the meeting. And even when I worked, I was very active, because here's the thing. You make time for what's important to you. So that's what I did, and I was a proactive parent. So I did this even when they were in college. And I could think of one particular time when I was concerned because males classified as African American or Black had no data at my institution for higher education. So I didn't know how they were doing. And this is just as a person that's interested in the area. And also I have males, that I wanted to succeed. And I had a daughter that I wanted to succeed. So they had data on graduation rates for women and success and retention rate for women, but not for males, and particularly males of colors who was classified as African American or classified as Black. So I went to African American Student Office, the Cultural Center, which they changed the African American Student Office to the Cultural Center at my recommendation, but not at first. So I went there. I went to associate vice president for equity, blah, 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 or something like that. I went to deans, and I said, I went to the Institute for Research at my university, and I said, there is no data for how well or poorly males who are classified as Black or African American are faring. What's the graduation rate here? What's the retention rate? Like, I need answers. And they said, no, we don't have any data. Like, we're sorry. That's all we can tell you. So what happened was, the brother that I went to in the African American student office, he told me to stay in my lane and that shouldn't be my concern. And then he tried to, date me, and he did some sexual harassment thing. He was mostly just trying to get, underneath my skirt. And I'm like, I'm sitting here trying to help students succeed. And I was just a worker at the university. And I had just started my doctoral program. But I was concerned. I said, my sons and daughter would be here at this university, because I gave my children the illusion that they had a choice. I took them to college visitations, but I worked for this institution, and I had my friends who were the admissions directors to call and recruit them, and I had my children doing health programs and engineering programs and research, and actually working in a cancer center, working with simulated medical patients, doing dissecting and investigating with rats, all kinds of things since they were like 3. I'm not 3 years old, but in 3rd grade, and maybe even younger than that. So they've been a part of campuses all their lives. Is all they knew. And whatever campus I went to, those were the campuses that they followed, and they actually did summer programs there. So I encourage you to look for summer programs through your outreach and development offices and see what programs are available for children. So they had a taste and a love for learning because I exposed them. So by the time they got to college, they went to the university that I was going to, and they all went on full scholarship. First they went free because I worked there, and that I was very intentional about choosing a job to work so they could go to college for free. And then they all received 4 or more academic scholarships each, because they all graduated from high school with a 4.2 at grade point average or above. So I was very, very active in my children's life, extremely active. So people say, you can't go to college. Yes, you can. Instead of saying I can't, ask how can I? You can't do internships. You can't do research in a medical profession or with the physiology department. That's what my children did. You can't work with medical students. Yes, you can. Ask how can I? I can't become an engineer. Yes, you can. How can I? So I exposed my children, and I told them, you're going, we just have to find a way. So they all got academic scholarships. So when they went to college, when I saw they were on their way to come to my institution for which I worked at higher education, I talked to several staff. Like I said, the dean didn't take me seriously. I went to the associate vice provost for diversity, yada, yada. She was a sister. She went to my boss and tried to get me fired because she said I was overstepping my bounds by trying to help males classified as Black succeed. So what I told the staff was, if you all say there's an issue, where males classified as Black, are involving themselves in the underground economy like drugs and gangs and blah, 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 then we have to give them another option. We have to make them employable by giving them an option, by giving them skills or helping them with college degrees, so that we can have marriageable men who can be productive men in a society. Like, as a man classified as Black or African American, and as a woman, why would that be a threat to you? I don't want your job. I'm working on my own PhD. That's what I said. But they had a problem with me, so I went to the president. And he was gracious, and he was a Caucasian male. He was wonderful. He said, you know what? I'm sorry you had this experience. You're right. There's no data, but this is important. We need data on how a segment of our society, a demographic, is doing. So you go back to those people and you tell them, as well as the dean for undergraduate students, who was a Caucasian male, by the way. But he said, you go to all of them. You go to everybody. You tell them, I sent you, and I said for you to implement your programs, your retention programs, your graduation programs, and your data, and any type of metrics you can put in place to ensure that we have some way to measure how males classified as Black or African American are doing at this institution. And so, even though they tried to fire me, I had my president behind me, and he helped me and encouraged me. So I created the first and only retention program at the University of Louisville. I didn't get any knowledge for that, any acknowledgement, but that's okay. I was happy to see that happen, and we changed the center from the Center for African American Students to the Cultural Center, because I wanted to institute culture, not just for people classified as Black, but from different different diaspora and different cultural ethnic groups. So it was beautiful because I had done that work at Marshall University, and I was doing it at this university, University of Louisville. So I'm just gonna say the name. It's a Research One institution. It's an amazing institution. It's had its issues, but when I graduated from my PhD with my PhD in 2013, and my son graduated with his bachelor's degree in business economics, and a dual degree in Pan-African Studies. That year we graduated, they had the most graduates of every single year. That was the most academic, most successful class, 2013. So I give praise and honor and all glory to the Most High for that, for the Most High God and Goddess for that. And I'm just encouraging you as sovereign individuals, stay involved in your family. I hope you can hear me. It's a lot of traffic going on behind me. Stay involved no matter what institution they're involved in. You be involved because you're sovereign and these people work for us. We have to remind them of that. We can be cordial and nice and be assertive, but not mean and nasty and aggressive, and just state your claim. And just know, walk confidently, walk in your godship. The scripture says, know ye not ye are gods? I know I have no problem saying it and behaving like that. So that's all I think I want to say. Things are reversing. Laws and rules are being overturned for our favor. So stay high vibrational. Stay positive. That's it. You have to stay positive, because when you know things are going to work in your favor, they do. But if you worry and you fret and you start giving in and being compliant, then you are making them win, and you are showing that you feel like you're not sovereign. And now, one thing I'm not is a slave. I'm sovereign. So let's see, be active in your children's life educationally, and no matter what institution they're involved in, because here's the thing, things are closing, things are shutting down, things are changing, and we have to use our sovereign status to open up our own institutions, our own educational places and platforms. We're going to have to create and design our own clothes and food, and have bakeries and all these things that we used to have when I was growing up, these mom and pop shops. We don't need these corporations. Like he said, some of these corporations are backed by that party in that country over there with the red and yellow flag that controls everything. These countries, they're backed by them and Big Sugar and other big corporations, backed by bloodlines, but they're all being taken down. These things are happening, whether we believe it or not. I know it, and I've been saying this since 2017, and now it's coming to pass. That's the good thing about the Creator. He always brings confirmation.